Okay, and it's ready to go.
Okay, we'll call the meeting to order for the Utah County Council of Governments. Do we have any public comments?
No.
Okay. I'll entertain a motion to approve the September 3rd, 2020 meeting minutes.
Mayor Larson, I make a motion to approve the September 3rd, 2020 minutes.
I'll second it. This is Julie Fulmer.
I have a first and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. We have the Utah County CARES grant update.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. This is Michelle Carroll with MAG. I have a brief update on the Utah County CARES program. The last time COG met, I gave an update on round one. So this is the $20 million set aside for economic recovery. In round one, we gave a little over $8.9 million to small businesses in Utah County and $5 million to nonprofits in Utah County. We had slightly over $6 million left. And so we started a round two, and those applications closed last Friday, October 30th. And we received $5.2 million in requests for small businesses and approximately $350,000 in requests for nonprofits. We are almost finished reviewing all those applications. We have about 5 outstanding applications that we are just doing some follow-up on. And we will be presenting the eligible applications to the Utah County COVID Economic Recovery Committee on this coming Tuesday, November 10th. With the amount of application requests we have, we do anticipate having some leftover funding, which will be approximately $700,000. And the committee has already decided that any remaining funding from round two, we will go back and look at our funded nonprofits from round one that were funded at 90% and increase the amount of funding. So there is a plan to have all of the funds committed this coming Tuesday, and then we will begin running checks next week and mailing those out, thus meeting our November 16th deadline. And so what we can do after the final steps next week, we can either send an email to all of COG with the final awards list, or we can also update you at the next meeting. I'm happy to answer any questions.
This is Mayor Brunst. I would prefer to have the awards list of the recipients and the amounts for each city sent out to us when you get that.
Okay, we would be happy to do that. Thank you, Mayor.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you for the update. We have the Valley Visioning update.
Can you hear me okay? This is Cameron Martin. Is it our time to take the floor?
It is.
Wonderful. Well, thank you, everybody, and good evening. I appreciate you allowing us to come and be a part of your meeting. As I said just a moment ago, my name is Cameron Martin. Professionally, I'm the Vice President of Operations and Chief of Staff at Rocky Mountain University of Health Professions, headquartered in Provo on the old Novell campus. I'm also the former 2018 chair of the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce and the current co-chair of the Chamber's Valley Visioning effort with Val Hale. With me this evening is Ari Bruning, the President and CEO of Envision Utah, and Curtis Blair, the newly appointed President and CEO of the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce. Both of these gentlemen will address this body just momentarily. We are here on behalf of the Valley Visioning effort, which most of you are familiar with and which was started and continues to be championed by the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce in partnership with the Association of Utah County Chambers and our great friends at Envision Utah. We are here this evening to share with you a draft of the final report of our findings from the initial Valley Visioning effort started in 2018. This effort was has included over 15,000 participants that were engaged through a series of public forums, many city council meetings, mayoral meetings. Many of you are obviously involved in that, and a random sampling survey of Utah County residents. This report is called the Utah Valley Vision for 2050. That is, and that is will be shared on Tuesday publicly. We're going to blow the rooftops up announcing it on November 17th at 2 p.m. All of you should have received an invitation. If not, you're getting one right now. And Ari Bruning will just tell us a little more about that in just a moment. Again, that's Tuesday, November 17th. Most of you, if not all of you, have seen earlier drafts of the highlights of this report of the Valley Visioning effort. Pursuant to your feedback, which we thank you for, the report has been refined and will now be a highly valued tool for you all to use in your own cities and areas of stewardship to bring to fruition the plan, a vision, right? A vision of how our valley should and will prosper through a coordinated effort to make the best use of our limited resources. So, with that backdrop, I will now turn the floor over to Ari Bruning, who needs to do a screen share there with everyone. He'll give us the update to the report. After Ari gives his update, Curtis will then close us out with final comments. We welcome your questions at any time, but especially following Curtis's comments. So, Ari, take it away.
Thanks, Cameron. Let's see if I can share my screen here. All right, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, thank you.
Great. All right, thanks for your time today. I just wanted to give you a really brief update on Valley Visioning and a kind of a summary of the vision that is coming out on the 17th. And I believe materials were also emailed to you so you could look in more detail. Every time I talk about this, I have to start with the growth projections because that's the reason for Valley Visioning. Doubling in population by 2050, adding 1 million people by 2065. And every time I say that, it just floors me, adding 1 million people by 2065. But the good news is we've done this before. Since 1990, Utah County has more than doubled in population. So we've done it before and we've come out pretty well. So the goal was to bring everybody together and say, in light of that growth, how do we maintain a high quality of life in Utah County so that it's still a great place to live? And maybe even a better place to live. So we tackled this in 3 phases. We did a listening phase up front where we did workshops around the county, put people around tables and maps and asked them how they wanted to grow. We did a survey to ask them what issues were most important to them. And from that survey, we picked the top 6 issues and put working groups together around those issues. And we took what people said about different ways to grow and put those into scenarios in phase 2. We said in 2050, there are different ways we could grow. What do you think? And over 11,000 people went online. They reviewed the scenarios and voted for their favorite for each of, I believe it was 8 topics. And I'm not going to go through the scenarios in detail, but they were everything from let's just keep growing the way we've been growing. Let's extend that to 2050, see what it looks like. To let's do some walkable mixed use centers throughout the county, as well as ideas like let's primarily accommodate the growth in existing urban areas. We showed people what those looked like, modeled the results. Here's one of the results just as an example. The blue bars are the 11,000 people who went online. The red bars are the random sample survey we paid for. So the good news is we didn't get 11,000 outliers. The results were pretty close. And we were looking kind of for themes for what people wanted. And we saw here that people wanted something, maybe some more walkable places in the county, a little more compact, and so on. So we took all those results. I'm not going to show you all the results. Brought it back to those working groups I mentioned. We've been doing a tour to your various cities and asking for feedback as well. And that's all been boiled down into a draft vision now. And the vision basically boils down to 7 things that Utah County residents told us they want. So as we're looking to 2050, they want wise water management. Water was actually the top issue that they ranked. And second was transportation. So they want convenient transportation choices to be able to get around. They want clean air, a well-educated population, housing options that they can afford. They want some local agriculture to still remain, and they want good open space and recreation opportunities. And so, of course, who wouldn't want those things, right? And then the question is, how do you get there? And these were the kind of 5 big strategies that we heard people supported that would bring about those outcomes. So a network of walkable mixed-use centers. So those are places where higher intensity development might be appropriate, coordinated with the transportation investments in the MAG RTP. A variety of market-based neighborhood and housing types so that match what people want and can afford. Investing in well-maintained highway transit and active transportation infrastructure that keeps up with growth. A world-class education system with high-quality educators so that we can make sure we have the workforce we need for tomorrow. And then in support of reducing air pollution and using our water wisely and so on, thinking carefully about what kind of landscaping, vehicles, infrastructure, and buildings we use. So those are kind of the 5 big picture strategies in the vision. There's a map that hopefully is no surprise to any of you because we've been sharing it with each of your cities and asking for feedback, showing where the different mixed use centers might be coordinated with that MAG RTP so that we can get the land use and transportation working together. And again, these are the places where the higher density growth might be appropriate. And then the vision also has plenty of detail on each of these topics. So just one example for water, there's a kind of a vision goal statement, and then there are 3 sub goals, allocating sufficient water for natural ecosystem functions and outdoor recreation, reducing per capita water consumption in municipal and industrial uses, and optimizing water use. And then under each of those, there are strategies for how to get there. So that's all included in this vision document. Been heavily edited by our working groups and others. And then we kind of modeled, what if we did all this? What are the outcomes? And the baseline scenario is kind of, if we grow like we have in the past, but till 2050, and then there's this vision scenario of what if we do what the vision calls for. And you can see a significant reduction in land consumed, and particularly I think what people care about a lot is that agricultural land consumption. Significant reduction there, mostly just by accommodating the market demand for different housing types. And you can see what that footprint looks like a little bit. The orange, darker orange here shows you the new growth by 2050. We measured how many residents can walk to different things within 10 minutes or 15 minutes or 5 minutes. So you can see a pretty significant increase, more convenient to get around, which leads to a reduction in driving and improvement in air quality and savings in infrastructure and so forth. Significant reduction in emissions and household savings, which is great for all of us would like that, right? So because of less driving, savings on passenger vehicles, less money spent on water, and less money spent on energy as well. So great outcomes. House annual water use significantly reduced with this vision, both because we're accommodating market demand for housing types that have less outdoor landscaping, and then also more water-wise landscaping. So both of those. So that's the summary of the vision and the benefits. As Cameron said, November 17th, 2:00, we're doing an online event to release the vision. The governor and others, some of you as well, are going to be speaking that day. And we hope that you're willing to join us. You're officially invited. If you don't get emails with the details, feel free to reach out and we'll make sure you get those details. And with that, I just want to thank you all for participating. I know many of you have spent a lot of time at many of our meetings giving us feedback and so forth. And I want to thank you for that. And now the hard work begins, which is making sure that the vision comes to pass so that we can all have the outcomes we want for ourselves and our children by 2050. And in 2050, I have children who will be roughly my age today. And I always think about them as we go through these visioning efforts and think about what will life be like for them? Will they have clean air? Will they have enough water? Will they be able to get around without sitting in traffic all the time? So that's the reason that we do this. And with that, I think, is Curtis going next here?
Back to me and then Curtis, if you would.
All right, Cameron, back to you. I'm going to stop sharing.
No worries, because I get the privilege of, I'm going to go to the Brady Bunch view here, of challenging you all, and then Curtis can hit cleanup. This really, ladies and gentlemen, this is one of those moments, a moment when as civic and business leaders, we can choose to act for the betterment of our county in a way that ensures a higher quality of life for generations to come. We realize that we are presenting tonight the Utah Valley Vision 2050 plan as an information item. Therefore, we encourage you or invite you to revisit the plan once it's final, because there's still elements that Ari's crew is putting into it, and then formally approve it, adopt it as a guiding document to help direct and manage how our community, how our county will continue to grow. Having the endorsement of the COG, I think, is significant and will help each of you in your own stewardships. This plan is a plan that the chamber will continue to update annually to ensure accountability and relevancy. And that's important to remember. Also remember, please, it is principle-based. We're not telling you turn left, turn right, go straight ahead 5 steps, but we are giving you something that's principle-based and that ensures the distinctive nature of each of our city communities in Utah County, is that they are sustained, celebrated, and very importantly, that they also have the support of our business community and leaders, which this plan does. So you have the voice of the people of Utah County in a usable and defensible format to help guide you in your civic stewardship. And we hope and invite you to use it well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Curtis for final comment and any questions that we'll facilitate. All the hard questions, please direct to Ari. I like softballs, and Curtis can take the medium ones. Just kidding. Curtis, take it away.
That sounds good. Cameron, thank you for that. And thank you for the introduction. Many of you, this might be the first time that we've met. For some of you, we're already acquainted. But thank you for having me. As Cameron mentioned, I'm the newly assigned, appointed president and CEO of the Utah Valley Chamber of Commerce. Today's my 48th day. Who's counting? But we have had a thrill a minute, and I'm so excited to be in this post. There's a lot of work to be done, and I think that it would be fair for you to know that my position and posture and that of the chambers is that the data has been collected, the reports are completed, the votes have been counted, it's time for implementation. And so we know now how we understand from these from the survey and from all of the research that's been done by Ari, Kempsey Gardner, and others that have contributed to this. We know how we'd like to grow, but now the challenge is, what will we do to manage that growth, and how will we advocate and implement those strategies? And it's important for you to know that the chamber has really restructured its entire mission, objectives, and strategies around the initiatives of Valley Visioning. We have formed our committees around these 6 initiatives that focus on the different elements that this research has produced for us. We have garnered the business leaders and placed them as chairs, vice chairs, and committee members that address those issues. We have garnered the support and interest of the Association of Utah County Chambers. They know that this is a big part of our mission and values, is to support the Valley Visioning efforts. And we've also included as many of the legislators in their dialogue to know that this is a big part of our chamber culture and mission and strategy moving forward. So as we prepare for 2021, as we prepare for the legislative session, as we prepare for our board meetings for the next quarters, years to come, this is a big part of our focus, a big part of our why, and our structure is aligned to enable the implementation of these strategies in a very real way. So with that, just wanted to express our vote of confidence, our willingness to join arms with you in that effort. And you have our endorsement for the principle-based common sense growth that we're going to see in Utah Valley. And with that, I'll turn it back to you.
So we are done. We'll field any questions that anybody may have. Again, just reiterating, once the plan's final, we would hope that you would take a formal action.
Cameron, Mayor Brunst here.
Hello, sir.
Not so much a question, but more a voice of support for what is occurring here. 20 years ago, Envision Utah put together a vision for the state of Utah for the next 20 years, 2020. And in that vision, they addressed many of the same areas, air pollution, water usage, transportation, etc. But it's interesting that in that vision, they help to give direction to the state legislature and to the governor on how to achieve some of these things. And it's just interesting that in the last 20 years, the population in the state of Utah has gone up by over 1 million people, and yet water usage has gone down 30%, and tons emitted of air pollutants into the air have gone down by 50%. So while the population went up by 30% overall, water usage went down, air pollution went down, and our enjoyment of life went up. We can do the same thing here in Utah Valley by looking at these categories, deciding how we can support, and working with the legislature and with our county and city governments to see these things come to pass, so that even though we're going to add another 1 million people, in fact, our air and our water and our transportation do not need to suffer, but in fact can improve and our quality of life become even better.
Thank you, Mayor. Well said. Well said.
Okay. There's no other comments. Thank you for your time and sharing this with us and the effort into it. And item 6, it was our next scheduled meeting. So unless somebody wants to stick around, I'll adjourn the meeting now.
Thank you again for your time. We appreciate it, and for your leadership and all you do.
Okay. Thank you, mayors. We'll hopefully be out of COVID and be able to get together by our next meeting.
Thank you.